Welcome in, everyone, to the everydayfan.com podcast. Today we have Mr. Paul Casanova and Liam Sagarian. We are talking NBA basketball. We're talking the United States Olympic team. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Conor McGregor fight and the aftermath and what he might be doing afterwards. Paul, take it away.
All right. Thank you guys, man. Thank you guys for coming again. It's been a very long week, it seems, for me. I don't know about you guys, but so thanks for showing up, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, I'm
glad to be here.
All right. So we are dead in the middle. This is going to be, I believe, game 4 of the NBA Finals. And so far, all we've had is a home series, right? The Suns took care of business at home. The Bucks went home now and got game 1. So what happens in game 4, and what do you think about the series so far? Jack, tell me about it.
I'll tell you what, I think this is it's a battle of, there's actually 4 teams playing the finals. Okay. It's the Suns at home, right? And then it's also the young Suns. Okay. We saw the young Suns the last game, right? When the Suns go down by some points, this happened in the Clippers game too. When the Clippers were able to crest over and take the lead, you saw the Suns start looking around. Everybody besides, Chris Paul and Crowder started looking around. They got nervous. They started pressing. That's an actual team. Okay, that team is completely different than the confident Phoenix Suns, the one that walks into the arena with their chest puffed out thinking that they're going to win. On the other side, you have the Milwaukee Bucks, right? And the Milwaukee Bucks are 2 teams. Milwaukee Bucks are teams that, with Middleton and Giannis, they play one-on-one basketball, but that's not where they're best. They're actually best when Drew Holiday is running the point. Giannis is on the pick and roll. And when Holiday's hitting shots, it also forces Paul to walk around and actually work on the defensive end. That Bucks team can win this series, and they could flip it over.
I agree with you right there. The whole Holiday situation, you can see it when they themselves get into trouble and Giannis takes the ball himself. Then you see that whole reversion of them guys just standing over here on these corners and letting him do his one-on-one thing. But when Holiday is involved and doing what he does, it's a whole different team. Plus at home and that too as well. Liam, what's the shirt there, man?
So we got the Dominatin shirt on today, AYTON for DeAndre Ayton. But if you notice the company for the shirt, it's Dear B-Ball. So I've written a little solo letter. Dear B-Ball gods, the so-called basketball gods. Dear B-Ball gods, please let, not the Suns, please let the Milwaukee Bucks win tonight. All right, I'm covering up this DeAndre Ayton shirt. It was just the best shirt I had clean. All right, my Giannis jersey, it isn't clean. It isn't clean. So go Bucks tonight because I want a long series. And you know what I was thinking about Game 3? I was thinking that Chris Paul's 0-12 versus Scott Foster in his last Scott Foster officiated games, and I was thinking that the Suns were playing the Bucks and the refs in Game 3, and that was fine. The Bucks got the win. I didn't want a blowout sort of series. I wanted a good series, and here we are. Here we are at Game 4, where Coach Budenholzer has caught so much flack for not being the adjustment coach, and I think he's made great adjustments these finals, and I think you saw it come to a head in Game 3 when they realized that the Suns are playing without Dario Saric. And like, who's your next like big man backing up Ayton? Because Frank Kaminsky has given you negative
nothing
in his minutes. And you drafted Jalen Green. Is that his name, Jalen Green, or Jalen Smith? What is it, Jalen? Who's the one in the draft this year? Jalen Green's in the draft this year.
Yes.
Okay, so Jalen Smith.
Yes.
Was the 10th overall pick this past year. When you could have had, who knows, like a Tyrese Halliburton, you wouldn't have to be on this campaign who's also giving you nothing these finals craze. And you could, have an actual, like, good backup point guard ascending. And then you could have figured out something else as far as backup center is concerned. They're getting exposed. Because what Giannis now realizes is, like, if I can go to the line and hit 60%, then I'm going to get Ayton in foul trouble regardless. Like the refs know how much fouls he has. But, like, if I just bully him and bully him and bully him, I can't not get called, right? I can't not get called some of the time.
It's that double whammy thing when you got 2 stars like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So Bud and the Bucks have been exposed, like at least last game, exposed the flaws in Phoenix's roster post the Dario Saric injury, and it breaks my heart. Dario Saric, he's a process sixer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's but that's what the Bucks have been doing, and I expect a rocking home crowd tonight, knowing that this series could go back to Phoenix tied 2-2. And if that happens, I don't think the Bucks fans really care about what happens in Game 5, because if they win tonight, they're guaranteed another home game in Game 6, right? Where they they feel very confident they're going to win. And we saw what happened exactly in the Brooklyn series. It was 6 straight home wins, and then Giannis put a little baby hook on KD, and then Chris Middleton finished him off. Well, if you get Game 7 back in Phoenix, you don't know what's going to happen. The Bucks fans are going to be off the charts tonight, and I don't want to say the Suns crumble, but I think the Bucks rise to the occasion. We haven't seen the typical 1 or 2 Chris Middleton games per series. He's due for one of those ginormous games. And I think it happens tonight.
That's true. That's a lot to take in there, but I agree with you on a lot of that stuff, especially the backup center part for Phoenix. They just don't have it. If Kaminsky's the answer, then this is over, because just like you said, Ayton has been getting himself in foul trouble, and there's almost no way it seems possible that he can't, like you said, because Giannis is going to go to the hole. That's his game. That's most of his game, is going to that hole. And if he goes to that hole 40 times, I mean, you're going to get yourself in some trouble right there. Get in trouble. Right. And also, I to put it even with Jack, like you're seeing, and what you said too, like about Payne, you're starting to see like the eyeballs. You're seeing the eyes. You're seeing the wide open when the crowd's going wild, and the Bucks just hit another point. Now they're up 9. Now they're up 10. You're seeing the eyes go up like, uh-oh, and then they press, because when your eyes go up, you press. You now you think you have to do something, and when you're not as good as that, then it just causes problems, and then you miss it. Then you start,
Sorry, I was going to say, you think of the term like battle tested for like championship running teams, right? Like every year, the Spurs are such a battle-tested team. Well, duh. They were a freaking dynasty. Well, if you think about it this way, like besides Jay Crowder and Chris Paul, like who's been running through the playoffs for the Suns? Nobody. And they're in the NBA Finals. They're a bunch of kids. The moment gets a little big, and when you say about the eyes, like have the Bucks been to the NBA Finals before? No. But this team, sans Drew Holiday, who's been in, the NBA playoffs himself, year in and year out, besides the middling years in New Orleans. They're the experienced team. They're the battle-tested team. They're the team that was flat out humiliated last year by the Miami.
They took those steps to get where they were, and when you do that, you grow and you learn. And also, I agree with you though too. Middleton's due. So I mean, to me, this has to be the game where he comes alive, I think. And do you notice too, the crowd outside, guys, has gotten double what it was in the beginning. In the beginning, you could see they had those fence out, like this, where you have to walk through it in a 20, and you could actually see that in those first, playoff game like that. Now they got that's packed, and the other side over there is now starting to get full. And they're like that crowd. If they go to Game 6, there'll be like 100,000 people outside. Watch.
So here's what Milwaukee has to do. Here's what Milwaukee has to do to change the series. And it's very simple, but you have to have the guts to do it. Okay, the small forward position for the Phoenix Suns really doesn't matter. So what you're going to do as the Milwaukee Bucks is you're going to work PJ Tucker at the small forward position, and you're going to run Giannis at the center position because he's more athletic than DeAndre Ayton. Okay, he's more assertive, and he can get his jumpers very close against Ayton. You saw that he dominated Ayton late in the game, and Ayton can't move to side as quick, so you put him in foul trouble. Bud has to have the guts to put Antetokounmpo, 6'10", 6'11", at the center position. Bring Brook Lopez for his three-pointers off the bench, that kid from Notre Dame who's been playing really well off the bench, and then you can get running that way. Because if you put Giannis Antetokounmpo at the center position, it forces Middleton and Holiday to not look for him, right? So if you're not looking, you're two guards. You got to get it down there. You have to get it past a certain position to now use your best player, right? Put him on the block, right? Make Ayton do something. And by the way, It'll probably tire the kid out from Arizona anyway, getting a guy that's used to what, 38, 40 minutes a game, bang him down low. I think that's really the key.
Yeah. So who do we see coming out tonight? Liam?
Bucks are winning tonight. And when's game 7? Game 7 is the 22nd, right? So that's 8 days from today. So when it gets to game 7, we'll have another pod, and I'll tell you who I think wins game 7 then.
All right. Jack, who wins tonight?
I honestly believe that Phoenix spent a lot of time looking at that tape. They know how Ayton was beaten. They know what to do, how to fix it. I don't think that Bud's going to run Antetokounmpo at center, which is the way you have to do it, and run him in pick and rolls. I'll take Phoenix tonight because the argument isn't that Bud doesn't know how to change. It's just he's stubborn. So I'll take Phoenix tonight.
So you say Phoenix goes up 3-1.
Yeah.
Right? And
because Phoenix is willing to change. Phoenix is be water. Yeah, if we can't win it this way, we'll win it that way. We need to make adjustments. It's very, unorthodox.
He's been real good at that so far. But I mean, again, for me, I haven't seen that team look as shook as they did. Now I know you said you saw it one time with the Clippers, so maybe they did, and they came back. But I mean, to me, you're in the NBA Finals and you look that shook like that. That's something that. But it has been a lot of days too. But so if they go down 3-1. The Bucks today, like you say, can they recover, or is this over?
I mean, again, I don't think any series is over. Okay, obviously not until we see the fat lady singing. But again, if you're not going to, if Milwaukee, I could change my tune very quickly. If Milwaukee walks out and Brook Lopez is on the bench and Antetokounmpo starts at center. Okay, obviously, if that happens, I flip my script. If they don't do that and Brook Lopez comes out at center, I just believe that Phoenix is very good at staying within 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 points a year, and they end up winning the fight down the stretch, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th rounds. And when you're at 43-45, Phoenix figures out a way to just get a couple more jumpers. Devin Booker's not going to score. He scored 12 last game. It's not going to happen again.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of two guys, Devin Booker and I believe Chris Middleton, they both are or will be, and I don't know if it's Chris Paul or not. I think he declined, but I know those two will be heading to the Olympics to help out Team USA. Well, that helped Team USA. They need all the help they can get right now. Losing back-to-back games for the first time in since 92, so 92, 94, I believe it was. 2 games in exhibition, they were like 56-2, and now they're like 56-4. So, or 54, something like that. But big number, bad 2 games in a row. Then they come back and they get a win last night, and they put it together a little bit. Now, here's my question to you guys, though. During this process, the very first game that they lost to Nigeria, I believe it was, we heard, well, we haven't been together long. We're still getting used to each other, and we got to get this going. Then even Pop himself, it'll be all right. They were a little bit out of shape. They still need to get back in. Now, here's my question, guys. How are they out of shape? How do they need time? First of all, let's just go with the All-Star game. You get how many practices for an All-Star game? 2, maybe at best. And they put on one hell of a show in the All-Star game. These are All-Stars, okay? Plus, the season didn't end that long ago, and for a lot of those guys, it just ended really recent. Why? Tell me, guys, why do they need the time? Why do they need that?
Well, they are out of shape. Right? You don't play any defense in the NBA, so it's shoot the 3, run to the opposite side of the court. That's not how Olympic play goes. In fact, I was kind of having a conversation the other day with somebody, and I made this argument that Carmelo Anthony is better for Olympic play than Kevin Durant, and this is why. Carmelo Anthony is a more physical basketball player. He'll stick his tail in your side and wear you down, where Kevin Durant might be a better scorer. But for the game of basketball there's something to wearing a team down, in the game of football, right? Sometimes it's 3rd and 7. Why did they run it? Well, because I'm trying to tire that linebacker out for the 3rd quarter. Okay, I'm looking ahead. I'm forward thinking. Team NBA, like, we don't play defense in the NBA anymore. So they're not in shape. And Australia is going to come at you. And that was Nigeria's Super Bowl, right? These teams are coming after you, and you guys don't have any, you don't stand up for yourself. And by the way, they lost to Australia the other night, and they were high-fiving and laughing and smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, not my team.
When asked the Australian team, who was the guy, one of them anyway, why they won, why they, and they said this was our second game only. By the way, that was their second game. So the whole idea about we need time and all that, they got their butt kicked by a team that had less time than they've had. Okay, but it was defense. And to me, I'm thinking, yes, because haven't we heard over and over that you don't need to practice for defense comes from in here. Defense is wanting it. So where's there been? Liam, what's going on?
So, I mean, like Jack said, Olympic play is obviously a little bit more physical, and the refs aren't going to give, ticky-tack fouls that they're used to in the NBA. But,
sure.
As the rest of the world catches up to what the U.S. is as a basketball power, or the basketball power, can you honestly say, has the U.S. gotten better too? Because while it's gradually increasing for all these other countries, the U.S. is staying here, so they're right here now when they were down here, but we haven't increased that gap up ourselves. And maybe it's the fault of the AAU tournament style of growing up, where it's a lot of drive and kick and a lot of high pick and roll. And you play a lot of 2-man basketball with your two best guys, and those guys end up being NBA players. We're obviously better athletes than the majority of these countries. And that's why I've always said the Dirks and the Jokic's and the Lukas, the reason that they were so good so young is because they didn't have the ability to jump over these dudes and poster dudes and make themselves these athletic physical specimens in their leagues growing up. It's because they had to polish their skills and make sure that they were incredibly fundamentally sound in order to be able to do what they do. So now you see what happens in the Olympic play. You're not getting, the game's a little more physical. You're not getting these foul calls. So you better it comes down to execution. And these teams who have been playing together a little bit longer than each iteration of the USA team, because it changes every single Olympic, a FIBA World Cup, or whatever it is. The USA team is always different. But Australia always has the same 5 dudes. And Argentina's been running Luis Scola since that dude was a teenager. He was 41 last night. I thought it was his son. I was like, wait a minute. Indiana Pacer, long lock, Luis Scola? What is going on here? So, they've been playing together for a while. And like Jack said, this Olympic tournament, this is their NBA final. This is what they're working for. And for a USA team that constantly feels like they can mail it in because they are the better basketball players, yes, they are the better basketball players, but are they the better team? I don't know, because these dudes have been playing together for a while. And not only that, but motivation serves a big purpose in sport, especially Olympic drive. And all these dudes, yes, they want to win a gold medal, but they also want to beat us if they match up with us, very badly, more so than we could ever want to beat them, because because they're not rivals to us. We're rivals to them. So it means more to them, and they're more cohesive, and talent takeover might still, drive the U.S. to a championship anyway, but they better be concerned. They better be concerned, and they better, play a little bit more intensely, which I thought they did last night. I thought they picked it up a little bit.
So here's to go to your point, though. Nigeria had 7 NBA players on their team. Australia has 8 NBA players on their team. So there is not that big thing. Like I kept hearing this. They beat Nigeria by 50 points the last time around. Do you know how long ago that was? Nigeria didn't have 8 NBA players the last time they played. So, it's that progression, like you said, of the world, where now there is those NBA players coming from everywhere. So now it's coming like this because you're playing NBA guys. And some of these guys, like I said, if you look at that Australian team, those are guys who are not just NBA players. The Nigeria team, they had a lot of guys that way down the bench, kind of guys like that. Australia had significant NBA players on their team. Those are guys who they help their teams. They're big players on their teams. So it's not just normal guys out there anymore going. And then the other thing is, yes, they're not getting any calls because that's the Olympic basketball. And I'm so glad for it, though, because that's what's ruined the game of NBA basketball anyway. That and the AAU, go for it, Jack. Tell me about that.
They're first of all, yeah, AAU is just shooting 3-pointers and whatever. We put on a show, right, for the fans. I don't know if people actually like basketball anymore. Like a 160 to 140 in 4 quarters is not basketball. That's a nice game of horse. I kind of play defense, but the fans see the ball go through the hoop a bunch, and but it's not basketball. There's an actual art form to the game of basketball. There are a couple teams that still do it out there. Phoenix Suns. Watch how they move the ball. That's the art of basketball. You might not like that the Miami Heat. You might not like that the Miami Heat only scored 90 points a game, but watch the game. Like, enjoy it for what it is. It's not baseball is baseball. It's not home run ball. Okay. And there are certain parts of the game that are being extracted from it, and it's ruining the game. Okay. Kevin Durant and Damian Lillard can score 50 points on any given night in the NBA. I don't want excuses. You guys could score 100 points on the same court together. You didn't. You're not playing well. You're one-on-one players, basically, right? And that's why your team doesn't go anywhere, right? Like Durant should have gotten that Nets team further, but you want to know why he didn't? Because he sat on the bench and didn't develop relationships with people. He put a gold chain around his necklace and clapped a little bit. You guys high-fived after a loss. I promise you, we'll never high-five after a loss. Paul, Liam, you play on my team, not happy after we lose to 100-1 Nigerian team. Chairs probably getting thrown, might destroy the locker room. I'm a child. I don't like to lose. But apparently we're the United States participation trophy team, which is what we might be getting if we keep playing like this.
Which to go even a little bit further, Kevin Durant, what did he have? I believe back-to-back 17-point games, and I'm not sure about last night, but I believe it was somewhere near the same. So, and it ain't just that, but if you look at his percentage, I mean, he started off the game, even yesterday, I believe it was something like 0-5 or 1 for 7, something crazy like that of shooting that he was on. Like, he's not giving himself or doing what we expect from Kevin Durant.
But he gave you 7 blocks, though, right? No.
Yeah, I mean,
did he give you 15 rebounds?
That's fine, but
no, he didn't do any of those things because he only affects the game by scoring.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the other guys too, though. Like, where's Jason Tatum? Like, this is supposed to be a guy who we all think is on that verge because, like you said, he scored 50. You can score 50 points a game, but when these kind of things come, where are you at? Is it just? Tell me, Liam, do they feel like this is just warm up and it doesn't matter?
It seems like how they've been taking it so far. I don't know how they actually think. I don't know what Coach Popovich is telling them. Going back to like your opening point, I don't know if Holiday, Middleton, and Booker are going to make that big of a difference, especially if this series going 7 games. And then what? You have to go home, pack a bag, and fly to Tokyo. And then just for the sake of argument, the Suns win. Like, if I'm Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton, am I going to want to share a locker room and hang out with Devin Booker, who just beat me in the finals? No. Hell no. Yeah. And vice versa, if the Bucks win. If I'm Devin Booker, I don't want to see Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton standing over there.
Why they're both chatting it up with everybody, talking about the win and
oh, yeah, do you want to come join us? We're a burgeoning dynasty.
I think that's our NBA. I think that's the NBA we live in. Everybody in this NBA is friends. They'll probably let them hang out with the trophy. Take it to dinner with them. They're all friends.
Yeah.
Well, if it's a tactic to try to get people to come to Milwaukee or Phoenix, then go for it. I'm here for all means of player relationships, as long as it doesn't involve KD going to the Warriors. But what was interesting after that Australia game, and this is just a personal tidbit for me, Matisse Thybulle, go Sixers, had a very nice block on one Kevin Durant, and then after the game was seen talking it up with one Damian Lillard. And I was thinking he was being like, hey, you see what I did over there? I should have been doing that in the Eastern Conference Finals. But the reason we weren't there.
He killed it, though. He killed it.
Get your little trade. Come on over to Philly. The reason we didn't get to the conference finals, we'll send him up to Portland. And you know what? Just because we have you, we don't even need to worry about KD next year because we'll be winning the championship. So you know what? I just think this is very good for Sixers basketball.
Got you. So they will start off. The USA will start off playing France in game 1. I believe it's like the 24th of this month is when the game starts and kicks off.
Is Gobert playing?
I believe so.
Because Olympic basketball, if Gobert got exposed in the NBA playoffs, I just want to say this just as a pragmatic thing. If you don't like Gobert, you don't like Gobert, whatever. Olympic basketball, you'll see how freaking phenomenal Rudy Gobert is on the defensive end because this plays into his style. There's no defensive 3-second calls, which I don't like. But
you can live there. Yep.
And Rudy Gobert is going to be a menace come these Olympics, and if he's playing, and I just want everyone to watch.
I think he's playing. He's just not allowed to touch microphones.
Can you imagine being his size though, and being able to take the ball off a rim? I mean, all day that ball touches the rim, whack it off. I mean, you can literally stand there and wait for it to touch the rim and then get it off. And I say that because that killed the USA the other night. They could not get that in their head that you could take the ball off of the goal, and they would complain. They were standing there screaming about it and talking about, oh, you took the ball. You guys, it's not the same rules. And it took them forever to get that. And I believe it was the Nigeria game where they were literally just going up and snagging it. Every time the ball was hitting up, they were snagging the ball off that rim. And it was freaking out. The USA team was like, guys, can we at least learn the rules before we come and start to, this international stuff? Because it does play into his hands for sure.
Basketball.
What's that?
I wish Jeff Van Gundy was coaching this team. He'd be screaming at everybody.
Oh, yes.
He's not a participation trophy guy.
Yeah, right now, Pop is, I hate to say it. I mean, even though he went off on that reporter the other night. That's
why? Did the reporter play the game?
Yeah, once again, right? But he's actually, to me, he's softened. So he is defending these guys way too much. He's making excuses right now, way too much about being out of shape. And that one just kills me. I don't understand how you're out of shape. I do not get that, okay? It has not been a month and a half. It hasn't been 2 months. And even if it was, what did you do? So you went straight home and went on the couch and grabbed your bag of chips? What are you doing? And knowing that you were going to the Olympics.
Popovich is the problem and the reason why these players are out of shape. Wasn't he the one that, was sitting Tim Duncan on the back end of his career and then advocated for not playing players back to back? These are grown men who can run up and down the basketball court and play plenty of minutes. You're the reason why players are out of shape. And isn't it fitting that now he has to deal with that?
Yeah. I mean, look, I think they're in trouble. I'm not going to say right now that they win a gold medal. I'm not going to say that. I'm there. First of all, if you look at even some of those teams, there are some really good teams out there. That Serbian team is a beast. Okay. That team is a beast. And they haven't even, I can even imagine the USA team right now playing that team. They'll get stomped. So I'm not giving the gold medal right now to the USA at all. Let me see how they get themselves ready and come out, because NBA players, we seem to know they come out when they're supposed to. So let's see if game 1 against France, because again, France isn't a walkover team. This isn't going to be a opening where they can kick somebody's butt by 50 points. It ain't going to happen. So they're going to have to come ready for it, or else they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so I think they are in trouble. And like you said too, Middleton and Holiday and Booker coming off 7 games in the NBA Finals and the series that they've all had, and the way I don't know. I think they're in trouble.
$10 on Luka Doncic's Slovenia to win 560 in the bank.
There you go. I can see that just as well too.
They feel like a bronze team.
56 to 1 odds, man.
They feel like a bronze team, the USA.
But that's okay.
At best.
They're good. Yeah. A bronze. Yeah. Exactly.
At best, they feel like a bronze.
Exactly.
And you know what? They probably don't deserve that because, again, we live in this era where, you know, if you're the best team in the NBA and you travel to OKC, you sit your starters. Like, who really? Like that's where we're at. Then everybody should shut their TVs off then too, right? And then they'll lose contract money. And then maybe they'll decide to play when they show up to every city because every city's fans deserve your best. But maybe I'm just a weird guy.
No, I'm 100% with you. I was a guy who used to, when I lived in Denver, would go every time to just see like the Bulls. I had to see Michael Jordan, right? I had to see them, and there were at least 2 times that I went to see him where he did not play. He came out in the first quarter, did a little bit of, and then sat down. And so I remember how you're like, I waited in line for those tickets just for that game, just to do that. So I'm with you on all that. But so Liam, you didn't tell us though. What do you think? Can they win the gold still, or is that where they're going?
I still think they can win the gold. I think they will win the gold? I'll go with yeah. I think they still will win the gold just because I think like once they get like a little bit more reps together, they'll kind of understand like how they need to play. But one thing that I think like everybody can agree on, no matter where you are in the world, every single time the USA plays anybody, the best player on the floor is Kevin Durant. And he like in the whole entire Olympics, the best player on the floor every time will be Kevin Durant. So the USA will always have the best player, and I'll venture to say that they probably have the second best player too in Damian Lillard every single time they step on the court. So I think those two are enough to bring it home. Do I think that they can acquiesce to the physical nature of the Olympics? And it's not really their style of play. That's more of a Draymond and Bam style of play. And I think you can see the flaws in the Olympic roster because, not a lot of big men are, American anymore because, like, Ayton can't play for us because he's from the Bahamas. And, we could have Evan Mobley in 4 years per se. But, it says enough that Kevin Love is on this team, does it not? Like, yes. It says enough that Kevin Love's on this team. It's because we're depleted at American big men. Mm-hmm. And like that's gonna pose a serious problem if Dame and KD can't keep up the scoring numbers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm American. I'm only 5'11", so that we really are
5'9", baby.
5'9", right? So you're right. We really are lacking big men in America. There's just
you think about the best big men in the world. You got, like I just said, like Ayton's from the Bahamas, right? But then you got Jokic is Serbian, and Embiid is Cameroonian, and
what's in their water? We got to get that kind of water.
Gobert from France.
And Nurkic isn't one of the league's best big men, but he's not American. Mm-hmm. a lot of these dudes.
He plays on the Serbian team, I believe.
Hassan Whiteside was Tim Duncan was Virgin Islands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true. Let me ask you one more question before we move away from the USA. Are we going to hear if something doesn't go right for the USA team and they don't bring home the gold for some reason? How quickly are we going to hear, well, LeBron didn't play?
It's not necessarily going to be, well, LeBron didn't play. It's just going to be a myriad of excuses, right? Because that's all that we're already getting them. They're out of shape, right? Then, we're still getting the feeling they're getting to know each other. Like every Olympic team doesn't know each other. We didn't draft a team. It's not the Olympic team in the 80s wasn't the Lakers. Okay, it was different players from different teams. They all didn't know each other. Okay, so I don't want to hear that. It's that they all played a certain brand of basketball, and United States NBA basketball is a certain brand of basketball. Dribble, pick and roll, I shoot for myself. That's our brand of basketball. And I don't know why you guys don't like that, because everybody else seems to like it except me. I don't know. It just doesn't work.
Liam, are we going to hear those excuses? Is it because LeBron's not there?
I'm not sure if it'll be not like because like LeBron's not there. I think like Jack said, I think it'll be like myriad excuses for like whether it be conditioning or the the growing talent field or whatnot. Like these excuses are already planted. Even factual excuses such as the field is closing in on us, like I outlined. Like, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
But like you're still planting an excuse, right? Because
Yeah.
you still got these expectations. Like the Warriors, when they had KD healthy, never lost a championship, right? Because they lost to Toronto when he wasn't healthy. If they had lost to Cleveland one of those years when he was healthy, it would like that excuse would have been like, oh well, they had LeBron or stuff like those excuses would have been planted early. Even though this was Kevin Durant and the Warriors, like head and shoulders above the rest, I still view the USA as head and shoulders above the rest. But that's what it is. It's head and shoulders. It's not body's length anymore like it used to be. Yeah. So while the excuses can't be as few and far between because of the closing gap on talent, they're still going to be there because that's what America does. We make excuses for ourselves every time we fall flat. And I'm not sure if the players will do that either, because most likely this is the only iteration of this team that we're going to see. The 2024 Olympics, I don't think this roster is going to look like this because the USA, it's always interchanging. But I'll tell you what, the Australian roster is going to have Mills and Matisse and probably a returning Ben Simmons and Ingles and Aaron Baines and the same dudes who've been playing together for, at that point, 15, 16 years. So yes, like there's a huge difference in camaraderie, in teamwork, and in style of play that lead into the hands of these other countries, and it's on the USA's talent then to bring it home.
So what you're saying is that this team represents us as a country perfectly, right? We're just going to make excuses for the job we didn't get done. I mean,
and say we're the superpower when really are we this global superpower or is everyone coming in?
Right. Yeah. It's getting closer, and we're gonna make excuses why they're getting closer, and then
Team USA is USA. Who would have thought?
Add a D at the end of that.
This is a perfect segue about making excuses for our next topic, as I want to bring in a little switch off of basketball. We're going to go a little MMA here, and Mr. Excuse Meister himself, we want to talk about Conor McGregor and that fight, I guess what it was. All I know is this. Listen, I saw the pre-fight. I was watching the weigh-in, and man, you looked at that and you said, oh, look at McGregor. Look at that. He's back. He's back. I mean, and he does this to you every single time. He has become the Barnum and Bailey, or as I put it the other day, the Don King. He's the new Don King. I mean, he can make you believe any fight is going to be the best fight in the world, and you have to watch it. And when he come out with that, I don't give a oh, fuck him, and da-da-da, and you were like, oh, he hasn't done that in a long time, he's going to do, and then he comes right out and does what he did in his last 4 fights. What is he, 1-5 in his last 5-6 fights too? Like every time. Oh wait, he did beat up the old guy in the bar, so we can give him that one. And he got in a fight in Dublin. He beat up the old guy there, I guess a real old guy. So so really, let's give him 2. We'll give him the 2 wins. But is that all he's got now? Is that it? Because now he seems like he's just the circus meister. And he did it. Look, when he was on the ground, what did he do when he hit the ground? Still yelling at Portier, right? Getting on his wife, who showed her, happiness towards him as she was leaving the thing. But he did the same thing when he hit the floor. He started doing the Don King as soon as he's sitting up against the fence. Is he done?
I don't think he's done. I think he's at the, I don't think his power translates to this weight class. I do think he still holds the same kind of quickness. I think he can catch you, but I don't think he holds the same kind of power. And that's part of the problem because, he's a stand-up fighter. Well, maybe not so much anymore, at least for, he'll be out for some time. He won't be a stand-up fighter.
Standing up for a while. But
yeah, he won't be standing up for a while. His power his body is built for a different weight class, even though he's filled it out. If you look at Poirier, like his body actually translates. He was actually, it's like wrestling. You see that guy and he keeps cutting weight. And there are certain guys that can move up to certain weight classes, and it actually helps their body get fulfilled. And I kind of think that's Poirier. If you look at Poirier's shoulders, like those things have always wanted to be bigger, but he's always been cutting weight and staying at a different weight class. Whereas McGregor is bigger and he could still catch you with a punch. It just doesn't hold the same snap at this weight class. And I think it's a real problem. He's had a problem going to it.
Liam.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that Conor's just not, in contention for top UFC fighter at lightweight, at featherweight, at whatever division you want him to be at. And I outlined this on your show on Saturday, Jack, and I outlined this in my article a little bit. And it goes to what you were saying, Paul. Conor McGregor has this way of speaking some confidence within you that you think that he's back and he's going to win this fight. And when Jack picked Conor on Saturday on the show, I said, are you sure his mouth isn't leading you to this conclusion?
Exactly.
Same thing to my buddy Conor, who was picking Conor. Yeah, but same thing to my buddy Conor, who was picking Conor McGregor to win too. Is it just that his mouth can make you believe and he's going to sell the sport? And this was the one time where I truly didn't buy it, and I stuck with Poirier. And you know what? The ankle break saved him, because if that hadn't happened, he would have been humiliated by Poirier.
Yeah, wasn't it 10-8, 10-8, and 10-9 on the card right there at the end?
It was 10-8 on the card because of the ground and pound elbows. And realistically, Poirier could have finished him off with those ground and pound elbows. But what did he do? He got up and he told Conor to get up.
Because he wanted it, yeah.
8 had fizzled so much so at that point that he wanted to put his lights out on his feet like a real fighting man would do. It was a masterclass show by Poirier, and it was a masterclass make you believe who done it, I did it sort of thing by McGregor, of like, I can still sell these marked fan fools that I am this dude, when I think maybe McGregor in his heart of hearts knew that he wasn't that dude, because this fight's going to make him a lot of money after he's already made a lot of money, and he knows that Diaz trilogy's next. And like, of course, he thought he would be sooner, but he broke his ankle, so now it's going to be a little delayed. But that trilogy is going to be even bigger than this trilogy, which was just the biggest trilogy in UFC history. He's got a lot of money coming in. I think he was resting on his laurels a little bit, and I think this ankle break saved him a little bit. I think he's done from contending high in the ranks of the UFC in any division, but I don't think he's done being Conor McGregor.
Okay, I'm with you. Go ahead real quick.
So you were right. Obviously, you picked the right fighter, right? But I didn't pick Conor McGregor based on the press conference. I picked Conor McGregor based on his face wasn't bloated. He looked like he got a good full MMA, not boxing camp in. And I thought he was going to come out and do more MMA things. So I was right, because he did. He came out, he was kicking. He wasn't necessarily just trying to stand a box. He tried to mix it up. So I bet based on what I thought was going to happen. So like, I don't feel bad that I made that bet, because I was in the right arena, right? My feelings weren't scared by the press conference. They weren't scared by him walking, like none of that stuff, right? It was based on what I thought the adjustments he needed to make were. But it just seems to me the punches and kicks that he did catch Poirier with didn't phase him at this weight class anymore.
Okay.
I get that, but so he there's no way he would move up, right? Because moving up is 15 pounds to 170 and moving down is 10 pounds to 145. If he moves up, there is no chance in hell that Conor McGregor could ever contend with Kamaru Usman. Right?
No, he can't move up. No, he can't. Listen, this is too much anyway. This is too much of a move up anyway. He needs to move down or find a catch weight.
Well, so if he finds a catch weight, there's no belt for him to have. So that's why. So unless he wants to find Diaz at a catch weight that works for both of them, that's fine. I think they'll both probably end up. Honestly, they'll probably end up fighting at welterweight and let Conor just like put a few pounds of fat on if he needs to. Oh. But if he goes down to featherweight, he does not stack up with Volkanovski, Holloway, or Brian Ortega. So, like, at best, he's the 4th best featherweight, and I would argue he's probably 6th behind Dan Ige and Calvin Kattar and Chan Sung Jung and Korean.
Time out. Look, this is what I'm talking about. You're already talking about this trilogy, thing like that. But yet you told us all just a minute ago that before this fight, you already had that feeling. So you were going against him because look, this one, that's where everybody was almost at, I think, right there where you were at. And to me, this one, especially for me anyway, you took me off. Now, I'm not buying another one of your fights. This was the fourth one. This was the last one that you tried to convince us that you could still do it, and you gave us one hell of a convincing story, and then you went out there and stunk it up again.
I've heard the story before, though.
So I'm not falling for it again, though. So
yes, you will. You fell for it with fell for it with Mike Tyson for 20 years.
That was a different story.
It was not Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was
story. Don't let's not go back into Tyson, okay? Because
Mike Tyson was. Listen, everybody
I bought
every
single one of those 30-second fights, and I was happy to do it.
Yeah, and you bought the Francois Bothas too. You bought the Francois Bothas, and you would have bought the Butterbeans because it's Mike Tyson, and he gets you to the screen. Conor McGregor is going to get you to the screen no matter what.
No, that was it though. Yes, that was like watching. That was like watching that old guy that has passed his prime in the sport, and now you got confirmed of it. Like you wanted to believe it still. Like, no, it doesn't matter because he's so great. He can still compete, and he can beat this guy or that guy, right? And he can do this. And then that fight came, and you went, okay.
No, he's lost speed at this weight. And he's lost power at this weight. But the fact of the matter is, I
don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't think he looks as bad as Tyson did when we were still buying the Francois both the fights. Okay, but regardless, we were still buying. Like, you go, oh, I'm not going to buy it. And then all of a sudden, Nate Diaz and him will have a press conference. You go, all right, how much is that? You're just going to do it.
That's where I was getting, Paul. No matter what you believe in Conor as a fighter moving forward, which is like nothing from me, you are going to want to see McGregor versus Diaz 3. It's just going to be so good. Like, it's going to be so good. They hate each other.
No,
they hate
each other so much. Right now. I'm making a statement right now. I'm going to hang to it.
If it's in Jacksonville, I'm flying down and I'm making sorry ass go.
Paul's gonna be waiting in that line, by the way.
Just so you guys know. Count. Okay, if it's in Jacksonville, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. All right, because then I'll probably
wait. I thought you said no matter what. What is going on here? I'm so confused. I'm so confused.
Look, you gotta have that one little thing, right? You can't be completely like hard on everything in life.
Here's the thing: some guys are fun to watch, whether they're a train wreck or they're the best. And Conor McGregor is that. Mike Tyson was trying to fight Lennox Lewis's security guard, half coked up at a press conference. Nobody thought he could win the fight, right? 20 minutes before the fight, you're looking around like a crack addict, going, "How do I buy this? Where's the HBO?" Because you're gonna do it. We're addicted to certain guys.
No,
Conor's one of them.
No, unless he's
everyday fans are.
Unless he's in Jacksonville. Okay, one more thing. We're going to stay in the MMA for a minute, but today, this Friday, Bellator 262 is going to happen, and there are actually quite a few really good fights. Once again, there are some women who they can downright throw down, and there are going to be some good fights there. But then we have the guy, Matt Patrone. That is his name. And we all know him because he's been in the UFC. He's now been in Bellator for forever. But he's fought just about everybody there is to fight. So the guy's been around for a long, long time. He happens to be on and I'm glad he's not here in front of us, and you'll see why, but he's been on an 0-5 streak lately. In his last 5 fights, he's had some bad luck with some headbutts and some other things that went on. So it's made him a little bit testy on that record. But he will be fighting a guy named Fortune. What is his name? Tyler Fortune?
Yes,
I believe. And the guy's good. He's a lot younger. He doesn't have as much experience as Matrone at all. But he does look good. But they're going to get together and fight, and in my estimation, Fortune is in trouble, and here is why. Let's see if we can get this on here for everybody. Everybody can see that? We're going to make this go big.
There's just no volume on it.
Now let's watch that beginning over again, Jack.
What's he saying? Liam, can you hear him?
No.
You guys can't hear that?
No.
Oh, great. All right. Well,
That's okay. Give us a play-by-play. What did he say?
anyway, the reporter started off asking him about his 0-5. I mean, directly as soon as it started, the first guy came out and said, "So you were 0-5 in your last," and that's all the words he got out before Matrone went off with his F-bombs. Oh, that's how the fuck you want to start this? Is that how you want to do this right now off the bat? And he starts going, "Okay, let's do this, fuck." And he goes off on this guy. And it was rather entertaining, actually, when you were watching it, because to see a guy get that upset over that, it was just something that I wasn't ready for. But what do you think of something like that, Jack?
I think that reporters from now on, they should ask him what kind of cheesecake he likes to start off conferences with. Listen, I appreciate the guy being angry that he's 0-5, but he is 0-5 and he's a professional, and it's his job to answer the questions as a professional. You know, you don't treat a reporter like a jerk. He's trying to do his job, and his job is commenting journalistically on what your performances have been. So, you know, if I had been that journalist and you started going off on me, I'd be like, I apologize, sir. I guess you're 1-6 because you've just beaten me down in front of all these other journalists. And you've really shown what kind of professional acumen you actually have. That's what I would have said to him, because I don't think it's fair to beat up on a guy who's just trying to do his job, right? Anybody, a truck driver, a stock clerk, you know, somebody that, you know, brings you food to your table and you know, they wanted a couple extra sauces and they didn't ask you. It's not fair or nice to beat somebody up when they're trying to provide something for you, because at the end of the day, you don't know how that reporter is going to spin that 0-5, and it's your responsibility to spin it and help him, but you didn't want to do that. So now he has a really easy story to write, and it's not going to be in your favor.
Yeah, that's probably for sure. Liam, what do you think?
Well, this is the Kyrie Irving, right? Of like
For
you
sure.
guys, I can't do with the media, or you know, walking away at the All-Star game and like, oh man, I can't wait till I'm done with this, or one-off comments of, oh, I can't really talk about basketball today, even though it's in my contract and I need to speak in front of you. And that's the same thing with these MMA guys. You're not put in front of these microphones if you're not paid to do it, or if you don't want to do it. So there's a reason you're there. So answer the questions. It's not this reporter's fault. It's nobody but your fault that you're 0-5 in your last 5 bouts. And, like, you have to think that that's going to be a point of emphasis. Like, so let's just take the NBA Finals, for example, because they're going on right now. Let's just say the Suns win tonight and they go up 3-1, right? What are they going to be asking Giannis? Are they going to be asking him about, like, they're going to ask him about,
do you still think you're a contender?
The loss of the deficit in the series. They're not going to ask him about anything else. And you know what? Giannis isn't going to react like that. And I get the MMA and the fight game is a little different and a little more contentious and a little more heated. But, like, the first thing you learn in journalism school as a journalist, as a reporter, is that your first loyalty is to the truth, and your first obligation is to the public. So whatever you feel that you're going to best ask, like, that's going to garner in, like, the most views or the most hits on your read, or what you think is the best information that you could be putting out there, you're going to ask as a reporter. And you know what? It's probably a sign of a good reporter that you can get these reactions out of people, because that only means, like Jack said, you're doing your job.
It's not my job to be your friend. It's my job to get the story, right? It's my job to get the story for the place that I work for, right? It's my job to deliver, you know, the packages of the company I'm working for, no matter how I have to get. It's my job. I have a job and you have a job. Right? It's very simple. And sometimes I need you to participate in this. And that's what everyone's thinking. Hey, man, we think you're maybe he should have said, everyone thinks you're a really good fighter. Why 0-5 the past couple bouts? Can you describe that? Maybe he should have passed a compliment, just a real snappy one, to get to where he wanted to get to.
That I agree with, because there are so many times though when you're in there that people don't understand when they ask you. I've been told, how come you don't ask them this? How come you don't ask them that? Because there is this sort of a respect thing when you're in there, and you don't go straight for things like that, because you have to be around these people all the time, and sometimes you can get information that maybe you hadn't, and it's because they like you and they do things. So when you upset that flow, it does kind of hurt you a little bit, which is why the guy I know was trying to apologize as much as he was. But at the same time too, he went on with it because of that, Jack. I think, because he still is going to do what he's going to do and what he wanted to say and get that out of the way. I found it entertaining. I also found it more entertaining at the fact that you got upset over that kind of a thing. If I'm the opponent over there, I'm thinking maybe I go in and start and do this, 0-6, just walk around the ring when you first start doing 0-6, because it obviously gets into his head,
Yeah, it's like counting your dribbles at the free throw line.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you got him already and you ain't even in the ring with him yet. But I'm going to put some money down on him, though, because I don't think, knowing him, I've seen him fight many times. I actually watched the UFC when he came in, that show. What was that show called? And he came in on it. But I watched that season, so I've seen him fight a lot of times, and I don't think he's going to be 0-6 in his last 6 fights. I don't think he would let that happen.
Athletes that pick on reporters. And this is totally my opinion, but athletes that pick on reporters are like guys that pick on women because the steak is medium well over medium, right? Like, or anybody that cooks or does you something, right? They cook it and you complain about how they did it, or there wasn't extra cheese on the pizza. Like, I'm not interested, actually. I'm not interested in interviewing you again because you're a little touchy and you don't want to answer things. And you know what? I'm going to interview the guy you're fighting, and I'm going to write a great article on him. And if he knocks you out 0-6, and guess what? I cheered for it, right? Because now you got me rooting. Because what you did is you took the neutrality of our relationship and you split it. Because I asked you an honest question. Because I have journalistic, like Liam was saying, journalistic integrity. But now I don't. Because you were a jerk to me in a time where I needed a story.
And by the way, his opponent came out very nice, very polite.
Of course he did.
Sat there smiling and answered everybody's questions all nice and could be.
So who are you rooting for then?
So I'm going for Matrone. I just think he's not gonna let this go down. I don't think.
I'll put $5 against Matrone just for fun.
What's that, Liam?
I said you got to go through your money's on, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's going against Matrone. I don't care. I don't like people that pick on other people for no reason.
Bellator events take place at the Mohegan Sun.
Done. I don't like people picking on people for doing their jobs. I'm a weird guy still,
Friday night, yeah. So you're gonna be watching that, Liam? Do you watch the Bellators?
I will.
Yeah, I get into those too. I don't know why I've been into Bellator for a long time. It's probably as long as I've watched UFC. I guess I probably. Well, that's not true, because I used to. What was that? Saint Pierre? What was his name?
George St. Pierre.
Yeah, man, I used to love watching that man.
He's one of the GOATs.
Man, loved it. That man was bad. Okay, so all right, well, guys, I appreciate it, man. That's it for us tonight. Devin Booker just hit his first shot. That's scary.
1 for 7?
No, he was 1 for 1. He just hit the first shot of the game and looked good doing it. That's not a good sign for Milwaukee fans. Let me tell you. But it's 4-4 right now. I don't know where you're at in the TV, but my TV says 4-4. So
are we doing last words?
Yes, so let's do some last words before we go. So go ahead, Liam, you start it off.
This is an all birthday last word. Happy 2-day belated birthday to my younger brother, Aiden. Happy belated birthday. Happy current today birthday to one of my best friends, Christian. Happy also birthday today to Conor McGregor. Hope that ankle's doing well, buddy. And happy birthday tomorrow to my man, Damian Lillard. That's all I got.
Good God. All right, Jack, go ahead.
I'll constantly root for athletes because I like watching them, and I always kind of sit here in awe of the things that they can do and the entertainment that they provide us. With that being said, I'll always root against athletes that make journalism's journalists' jobs harder, because we have a job to do too. And we're just people that write about sports because we wanted to be an athlete. Okay, in our heart of hearts, that's what we wanted to do. But all we can do is sit on the sidelines with our mouths out, because you're doing fantastical things that we only dream we could do. So don't treat us that way, because I think you get a little bit further, right, if you give somebody some honey instead of a lemon.
That's what my mama always said. For me, I'm going back to the Magic once again. I think this is like 3 weeks in a row, but they hired their man, Jamal Mosley, sister from Dallas. From what I understand, one heck of a defensive mind, which goes right with the Magic. But I'm going to say this right now, Magic fans, be ready, because it's going to be a long year. We don't know about his ability to grow a player, to develop a player. He had Luka. I think Luka was doing fine on his own. I don't know if I would put that on to Mosley as being the reason why he became Luka. So for me, I'm just saying, Magic fans, I think they took the best of what was left. And which brings me to New Orleans. I'm sorry for you, because you still haven't hired a guy yet. So
They did.
But did they finally hire one?
They hired Willie Green, the guy who last week got endorsement from Kendrick Perkins and then Kevin Durant on social media, and then this week ends up with the job.
Well, see, and again, I think the Magic took too long. I think they waited. They were trying to do something, and I don't really know what they were trying to do. But it's going to be a long year, Magic fans, so hold on in there. Let's see what this guy's got to do. Let's see how he takes it over this first part. And, as they always say, and he hasn't even started yet, but there's always next year. So with that, guys, I appreciate it once again, man. It's been great. It's been fun. Loving the shirt. Loving the room today, Jack. Like the way you slid yourself down. That was great. We will see. We will see you guys again next week. Thank you for coming, guys.
Thanks for having me, Paul.